Welcome back. Episode 3. I'm Greg Gurenlian. I'm with my esteemed colleague, Jerry Ragnese, and we're going over the next 2 matchups for Division I NCAA tournament face-offs. The next matchup we got coming up is intriguing. Maryland is taking on Vermont. Jerry, what do you see off the top of your head with this face-off matchup?
I see incredibly hot Tommy Burke, who has just been trailblazing the entire way. Probably the best face-off guy in Vermont history. A shoo-in for second-team All-American, in my opinion. I know we've had that conversation before. If he isn't second pick, then we riot in the streets. And then I look at a Maryland, two-headed monster that is kind of finally figuring it out. I know they had a couple tough bounces throughout the year, but it looks like they're finally starting to. Justin Shockey's finally, hitting his pre-SNG form. He's always been a monster on a knee, and it looks like he's finally, starting to click at the right time. Same thing with Luke Wireman. He's been kind of their go-to guy throughout the middle of the season. I remember Shockey kind of taking a backseat to him for a little bit, but it looks like Shockey's getting the lion's share of the reps again. And, Shockey, a fifth-year senior, I believe, going against a younger Tommy Burke. I'm interested to see if there's any seniority that comes into play there or just nerves. I know Tommy is an excitable guy. It'll be interesting to see if he, continues to ride the wave or if he cracks under pressure.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think, Tommy Burke has a chance to prove that he is a second-team All-American. I think we get so wrapped up in the ACC Big Ten names sometimes that we forget about all the elite level guys that are out there, right? And we're going to look at this year, and we're going to see guys. We're going to see most likely a Patriot League first teamer and a American East second teamer, and then who knows after that. I was talking to a couple guys that are editors today, and they were for a couple magazines. They were talking about putting together their All-American list this week, and I was like, do not put it out before this first round because you're going in blind. Mm-hmm. This has been such a unique year because everyone's played in conference 99% of the time. So, like, for instance, you look at the ACC, who knows what Petey LaSalle is, and we'll get to that later, what his face-off percentage would be if he was facing off against out-of-conference opponents as well, right? So that's just something to think about. So when we look at this from a face-off percentage standpoint, yeah, it's easy to look at this and say Tommy Burke 72%, 118 ground balls, Shockey at 51%, Wireman at 46. It's easy to look at that and say, oh yeah, this is a stud going against guys who are average. No, they went through the Big Ten, man. The Big Ten has studs up and down. And like you said, Shockey, a 2017 high school grad, he's a senior this year. I think he has junior eligibility. I'm not positive, depending on what that blanket waiver did for him.
You're right. He has a fifth year still at disposal.
So Shockey took 179 faceoffs, 142 for Wireman. That's the only thing I'm looking at, because when I look at this, Tommy Burke has taken 318 faceoffs as a sophomore. Technically freshman eligibility because last year got cut short. And also, everyone remember, Tommy Burke graduated a semester early from high school so that he could enroll at Vermont last year. So we're talking about a kid who is young, and he is crushing it. Tommy's one of the few people that I've seen in this season, and tell me if I'm wrong, who you can literally watch the film and watch him make technical improvements every single week. The Tommy Burke right now would crush the Tommy Burke from week 1, in my opinion. He has fixed a lot of his footwork stuff. He's acclimated very well to the technique involved with the wrist. He doesn't roll his wrist. So when he goes against guys who do that snap, I feel like similar to Petey LaSalle with his true plunger, he's going to just decimate people. So I'm interested because I do feel like Tommy his confidence is through the roof right now. And that's, as you know, half the battle for a face-off guy.
Yeah, completely agree. The Tommy Burke of now would absolutely crush the Tommy Burke earlier this year. I know, he's been in my inbox and yours as well, for sure. Just asking questions nonstop. A lot of things we've been talking about is fixing that wrist, hiding your move, even though he's pretty much gone for clamps the entire time. And that's another thing. It'll be interested to see what will Maryland's game plan be. Are you going to try and beat the guy who's really good at getting over the top of the ball? by getting over the top of the ball, or you can use your bottom rail layer moves to, drag them down the line, be more physical. I'm very interested in seeing that kind of game plan.
Yeah, Wyman's shown that he can do that. He's shown that he can be that second changeup option. His rake move has gotten better throughout the season, and he can be an energy plug. So when you look at it and you go, oh, he's only 46%. It's like, no, there's games where he's made a massive difference. So that's something to take a look at, because look, let's be frank. If Vermont doesn't have a massive possession advantage in this game, it could go to Maryland's advantage very early in this game. It could get ugly. So if Tommy Burke, look what he did at the Dome, right? I mean, he went damn near 90% in that game, and it moved the needle just enough. So when you look at that compared to going against Maryland, if he makes it, if it's a 50-50 game, it is all Terrapins, in my opinion. So it'll be interesting. He has been battle tested too. He's gone against Bryant, who we're going to talk about in a second, or we talked about in the last episode. Very, very good face-off guys right there. Also he's gone against guys. Stony Brook has some talent at the face-off position as well. So it's not like he's not tested. He has seen talented face-off guys. So it'll be very interesting to see how that goes. Looking down, one of the more interesting matchups that we're going to see, Notre Dame, who has two face-off guys, Gallagher and Leonard, both drafted into the PLL in the same year, which that's never happened before, and I don't know if it ever will happen again, to have two guys that are seniors get drafted in the same class as face-off guys. Going against Jimmy Coita, who you and I both love dearly, one of the best success stories in our sport, leading Drexel to a conference championship. What are you looking for in this matchup?
I think looking at all three of these guys, I think Jimmy can hold his own versus Gags in the top rail battle, but I think Charlie Leonard is going to be the deciding factor, at least in the face-off matchup. He is that switch guy. Like you said, there's a reason why both these guys got drafted. Gallagher for his top rail ability and Leonard for his changeup ability. I think Leonard's going to be the deciding factor at the stripe. If he's able to come in, execute shovels, execute bottom rails, execute belly to helmets, the way he's had success this entire year. And if Jimmy is able to kind of work with that, because they're not just going to roll with Gags. They haven't done that all season. They're going to see both guys. And one, is that going to tire Jimmy out? Two, is going to be able to adjust to both guys. I think that's really going to be, a big deciding factor in this game, much like Vermont with Burke, is if Jimmy's able to control the pace of this game. I mean, Drexel's got ballers. They can score. They get up and down the field. So if they're able to dictate, rate of play, I think this will be a much closer game than people are even thinking about, as an early round matchup.
Yeah, just the whole game in general is fascinating to me. Calling enough CAA games and seeing Drexel live a whole bunch of times this year, their offense is so unique. There's not like one guy at X. There's not like one designated crease guy or one dot. They have a 6 guys out there that can play on both sides of the cage. They can play in any spot. They love getting to the crease, which is going to be interesting against the Notre Dame defense. That team defense is so crazy. So like you said, the transitional game, Drexel has phenomenal short stick D guys. They have poles that can get up and down the field. Tucker Durkin's your defensive coordinator, so you know what you're getting there. So if Jimmy, like you said, can hold his own, I think Notre Dame has learned throughout this season that regardless of how well Gallagher's doing, putting in Leonard every few faceoffs is so vital to the success for both guys. When you are SNG and you're going against one style of guy over and over again, you start to get the timing. And that is where Jimmy Coita excels. Jimmy Coita knows that there's nobody else taking reps for him. He's taking all the faceoffs, and he spends the whole first quarter kind of figuring out the cadences and getting used to it. Once he's on, he is on the whistle, and he's got that talent. So if you allow him to just go toe-to-toe with somebody throughout an entire game, Jimmy's not one of those guys who's just going to go 90% and blow a guy out of the water. But what I love about Jimmy is he'll go 51% against anybody if you give him enough reps. So if they mix in a healthy amount of Charlie Leonard, not only will Charlie have success, in my opinion, because he's got a great rake move and counter, but it will then give Gallagher even more space when he moves in there to face off. So I think that's what they can use. Now, also remember, you got two guys who can take it to the rack, two guys that love to shoot and create transition. So if they are going to run Jimmy, I wouldn't be shocked if I saw them play a little bit of a gotcha game on the substitutions after faceoff wins. It would certainly work to their benefit to keep him on and then try to get him and sprint him off. So it'd be interesting to see if Drexel is defending against that and prepared. And it'll be interesting to see if Notre Dame uses that, because I haven't seen them really use it this whole year.
Yeah, and again, I mean, going back to the whole the Lehigh matchup, talking about Leonard versus Jimmy. Jimmy's every pound of 220. He's a very hard guy to counter. So it's going to be interesting. Like we said, that I think that's a big deciding factor. But again, you can't fake 220. You know, if you're going for a shovel, I mean, I don't know Charlie's exact stats. I know he's a stallion, but I don't think he's 220 pounds. Trying to lift the man off the ball, that's that heavy, takes a lot of core strength. It takes a lot of precision. So that's where, I mean, I could care less about the game. I'm really interested to see if that small kind of caveat is what shakes the outcome of this game. Because as far as I'm concerned, I think Gags will go, a solid 50%. I think Jimmy will go 50% versus Gags. But again, I think the catalyst right there is, can Charlie shovel and land those rakes and play his left hand and peel him off the ball and then get him tired, right? Because if he has to start defensive exiting, and running out the back door and having to clear for himself. I mean, Notre Dame is obviously incredible defense, but they've also done a really good job with their wings this year. It's like just getting Jimmy tired. Again, 220 is 220. That's a big body. And if it becomes a high scoring game, is he can have the gas to get through the fourth quarter at the same rate that he would in the first?
That's a great point. And I think one last thing to think about too with Jimmy is he has had issues at the beginning of games getting into foul trouble. So he has gotten one or two strikes against him in the first quarter a lot this year, and he gets so amped. Now you're going against Gallagher and Charlie Leonard, who have played in huge games their whole career. So, this could be the biggest game Jimmy's ever played in. Will he be able to keep himself composed so that he's not jumping the whistle early? Another thing to think about is with Jimmy Coyta, because he does have those nerves and that fast twitch to start the game. If he has an official who happens to have a quick whistle, it could really work in his advantage. Because if he's nervous and jittery at the beginning of the game, I could totally see Gallagher kind of running away with it. Especially if you're handicapped and you're so afraid of that third whistle on you that you're really waiting and you're out of your game. You can't play against that kind of talent and be handcuffed. So a lot of variables to look at, but it's going to be a really interesting matchup. I think one of the things across the board that I'm excited about is that because everything's been in conference, it's like watching, like interleague baseball. Like when you finally see an American League team play a National League team, you're like, all right, let's see how these teams really match up. We're going to really get to see, who's who for the first time this season with these new rules. So it's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, I'm super stoked for it. It's going to be, we have 4 games on Saturday. Or Sunday, excuse me. Kick your feet up, enjoy the day. There isn't going to be bad lacrosse on for a while, which is good.
You're right. All right, awesome. So tomorrow will be our 4th episode. We will finish this off. We will go out. It'll be the final 2 games of the first round. And then we will be sending it to you guys for Friday. We're also going to stay tuned because we'll be announcing a contest, round by round face-off contest for guys to pick winners. And we'll be giving out prizes for that. So stay tuned for that. We'll be announcing at the end of the episode tomorrow. Everybody have a good night. Jerry, thanks a lot, my man. Talk to you guys soon.